DJ, cut the beat, cut the beat, cut the beat. We live on the blue, we live on the green, we live on the purple. Make sure y'all tap into the YouTube, hit that like, hit that subscribe, comment, share, do all them things. No, this is not a pre-recorded stream. Yes, this is a snow day. Yes, I've been in the snowy streets of Alabama. But today, we not here to talk about Penn State choking in the CFP. Keith Thomas, I'm sorry. We not here to talk about the general manager interviews that Titans have going on for the guy that won't pick, that won't do nothing but scout and tell Chad Brinker yes. We not here to talk about the people that still on my post talking about who's better, Baby Thug or Gunna. We not talking about Carson Beck going to Miami, getting that NIL bag so he can buy diamond chains for his offensive line. We not even here to talk about Drew Aller blowing a chance to be one of the top QBs selected in this draft, having to go back to Penn State with James, I can't win the big game, Mr. Franklin. So what are we here to talk about? We're here to talk about how undefeated I am, how it's a snow day in Alabama. Y'all getting a daytime premium stream. And we're here to talk about this offseason QB market because it's starting to shake out. We're starting to see exactly who's coming out. And I'm going to end the narrative today. Yeah, Becker, I do. I'm going to end the narrative today. And when I do get off this stream, make sure y'all tap into my YouTube so y'all can watch these back. What's the weather like? It's snow. I woke up and everybody in my house was asleep. I walked looked out the window. I said, "Wow, we got about 3-4 inches of snow." You feel me? So let me get right to business. If anybody want to get in the Discord and get cooked, you know, you're absolutely welcome to get in and try to discredit everything I'm saying to no avail. But now, this is what I really got in here to talk about because this I'm a little irritated, but in a good way. You know how like imitation is the best form of flattery, bro. I got on here and did mock drafts almost a month ago when I seen the Tennessee Titans had a chance to get the first overall pick. Y'all remember, I said maybe if they don't love one of the quarterbacks, they should trade back and get the best edge in the draft. We sat here for hours going over who we thought was the best edge. Now, Keith Thomas had been saying Abdul Carter all year. I've been discrediting him because he a Penn State homer. You know what I'm saying? I ain't want to give him no love on that. When they got into the CFP and he was still cutting up, I was like, now we got to think about this now. Like, then we start going over names, James Pierce, you know, Michael. We start going over the names, and I started to think about Ryan Tannehill's 3 interception game against the Bengals with the number 1 seed with 9 sacks with Bud Dupree, Harold Landry, Danico Autry, and Jeffrey Simmons. I got to thinking about Myles Garrett being selected, probably a Hall of Fame defensive end on the team. They had one quarterback named Baker Mayfield, but they didn't believe in him. They've only had 2 winning seasons since he's been there. I thought about Max Crosby being an absolute goon, chasing down Patrick Mahomes and pulling him down by his neck, trying to give him a concussion. And I thought the Raiders don't have a quarterback. Maybe, just maybe, I could be the Commanders and draft Montez Sweat, Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne. I could just draft every first-round defensive end until now and to the world over. But until they decided, yes, they drafted Sam Howell, but no, he's not the future. Let's get Jaden Daniels. Maybe at some point these teams are going to figure out trading back and getting an all-star defensive end and put him on a team that can't score points like the Tennessee Titans won't work. Harold Landry had 9 sacks this year. Imagine if the Titans ever had a 10 or 15, 20-point lead. He could really pin his ears back on third down against bad teams and just pile up sacks. He probably had 15, 16 sacks this year, but he playing from behind with teams that's just going to run the ball at him because they don't want him to edge rush. So I'm here to end this narrative that the Tennessee Titans should waste a first round pick on Abdul Carter to put him next to Tavondre Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons, and Harold Landry, so we could again have a top rated statistical defense that's horrible on special teams with Cole Anderson and can't score points. The Titans have only scored 30 points like 3 times in 4 years. We didn't play enough defense. We'd always got 1,000-yard rushes. Getting another offensive lineman won't help us score points if the person with a protected pocket can't score. The Colts game, the coach didn't get a sack. We still couldn't score points and we lost to a backup QB. So that's what I really had to get in here to talk about. So let's really get into this. Let's really get into this to this shop talk today, so we can talk about this QB market and who the Tennessee Titans legitimately should be looking at moving forward, because if not, they're going to let Chad Brinker hire somebody that's going to have no power. That person is going to scout very well and bring the information to Chad. He's going to make decisions. If the player is bad and don't work out, he's going to say it's because the new guy and Brian Callahan. If it's somebody good, it's going to be Brinker was always the guy behind the scenes making all the decisions. So let's get into it.
Let me teach you how to vibe.
He said Abdul didn't look that good. You crazy. It looked like he was shedding and getting held all night, spinning through double teams, making the quarterback. You got to remember, like, Notre Dame didn't really start scoring until like late in the third quarter. Like, they was pretty much caged and boxed. Penn State just had a meltdown in the second half and couldn't score points. So let's get into it.
Let me teach
I want to
you
hear
how
y'all
to
thoughts,
vibe.
who y'all think. Let's start not with the draft. Let's start with free agency. The obvious. Okay, Pittsburgh, there's Russell Wilson, there's Justin Fields. One of those guys is moving on. I don't think it's Russell Wilson. I think it's Justin Fields. But they could potentially keep them both and draft somebody. All right, so let's not look into too far into that. A lot of people start now talking about J.J. McCarthy,
Let me teach you how to
who's
vibe.
the first person that really started yelling at a few weeks ago that he could be a legitimate. No, they're getting rid of Sam Darnold until they realize that the Vikings have 14 wins, and if they beat the Rams, may not make a change, or they could keep them both because Danny Dimes is signed to their active roster, which they have probably the best QB situation that you could possibly have. Is they have a starter that's had 14 wins. He doesn't cost them a lot of money. He's up for a contract. You got a first-round draft pick quarterback sitting there that had 2 knee surgeries. And then you got the guy who beat the Vikings in their last playoff game when Kirk Cousins was there was Danny Dimes. So you have a quarterback that got experience that has won a playoff game. He's beating you, and he's not going to cost that much. So they really the Vikings are in the best situation because they hold all the leverage. The Vikings hold all the leverage. Yes, Corey, this pass rush, there's a lot of depth in this draft. So if I put that in perspective of how I view that situation, until the Vikings are done in the playoffs, until the Steelers are done in the playoffs, it's not a thought. So let's talk about who are done. We already know the Dallas Cowboys done, and they bringing Mike McCarthy back. But Brock Purdy. Now, last year I was saying Brock Purdy need to hurry up and try to find a way to get
Let me
extended.
teach you how to vibe.
Now his agent wants $60 million. I don't foresee a situation of the 49ers giving him $60 million. The 49ers drive hard bargains. I wouldn't give over 30-35 for Purdy. He's a good quarterback for their system. He fits what they like to do. He's young. They haven't invested money into him up until this point. Less than $4 million. But I'm not giving Brock Purdy $60 million. Like, y'all know my thoughts and feelings about who deserves a $40, $50, $60 million check, and it ain't Brock Purdy. No disrespect to him, because he's played and took them to a Super Bowl on a rookie deal when he was only making $800,000-$900,000. But they're not giving him 60. They're not giving him 60. No. McCavitt. All right, so the first order of business from what the Tennessee Titans have, we're not talking Kirk Cousins. We're not talking Derek Carr. We're not talking about any of the usual suspects. Of course, there's the obvious ties with Jake Browning, with Callahan, but if you're a GM that just assume absolute power and you bringing in a fall guy at GM that's going to be basically a scout, for a coach that's lucky to still have his job, I don't know, with them asking him to relieve himself of being an offensive play caller, if they allow Brian Callahan to say he wants to bring in Jake Browning. I don't see a situation where they allow him to do that. See, Carr is the bridge. See, this is the point. I don't want Derek Carr there. I don't want nobody as a bridge that feels like they're still the guy. I don't. I need somebody on a prove it deal. Like Baker Mayfield was on a prove it. Geno Smith was on a prove it. Like I need somebody that knows they're here to be the buffer between what we got. Because if not, I'm gonna tell Callahan your job relies on Will Levis, Mayo boy, who you said you wanted to come here to coach. You want to keep your job. Show me how you can make him be a solid backup or a bridge. Because if you picking at one, I don't anticipate the guy who you have at backup being upset about not being a starter. I just don't. I don't foresee that. I don't see how that's a thing. I don't want Carr as the bridge because he's gonna cost too much. Like hear me when I say bridge, I mean less than $10 million. I don't mean a $30 million bridge. I don't mean a $30 million bridge. Only QBs that make sense for Tennessee is Shador or Milroe. Any other QB, it's going to be another season of nothing but pain. No, I mean, I think Cam Ward or Shador would be perfectly fine for what the Tennessee Titans do. Now, we can go back to that one stream we had. Insert Cam Ward and Shador instead of Rudolph and Will Levis this season. How many more games do the Titans win? I just want to see, just so we can get a heat check on where everybody's at. If we put Cam Ward and Shador on this Titans team we just had, starting the season with D-Hop, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, Traylon Burks, Nick Westbrook, Akene, Jaquan Jackson, a healthy Pollard, a healthy Spears, Chig Okonkwo, Vanette, Josh Wiley, Cushenberry, Skoronski, Latham, Levin. No, it wasn't Levin. It was Radens, NPF. Like Quandre Diggs at safety, L'Jarius Sneed on the field. Starting week one, when the Titans lost a game on a punt, getting a punt block. When Will Levis is diving, pitching the ball back against the Jets. 2 games where they were up double digits that they completely melted down at QB. I'm not saying won the division. I'm asking y'all, the Titans was 3-14. What is their record if Cam Ward or Shador is the quarterback? Nah, Bill, we're not paying Carr no money. Because he's not taking a pay cut. Tyler Hanke, no. Tyler Hanke, Will Levis's first win as a starter was versus Tyler Hanke. We don't want him. The reason is because he knows Cali's system already. Cali only has 1 year, and Breaker wanted him fired with Rand. But I'm saying, like, it's going to be hard to convince me that they're going to allow Callahan to go spend money on Browning or give up any draft capital to get him in Nashville. It'd be different if they was picking him off a practice squad as a free agent. He said 4-12, 10-7. The same as the Giants. Okay, 2 times. We're gonna get to your team in a minute. 4-13, 7-9. But let me show you something about the human mind. Even if you like Cam and Shador, you indifferent about them.
Let me teach you how to
or you
vibe.
don't think they're any good. Your first initial thought is the Titans would win more games with them than they won with Mason Rudolph and Will Levis. Mind you, Will Levis, 18 turnovers this season, playing half the season. And Mason Rudolph is not far behind. Combined, they got more turnovers than touchdowns. Like, it's not close. Pass you some more mushroom coffee? I got you. Let me hit this sip. Somebody tag Rise. I need a contract. Stay blessed, say 10-5. Well, it's a 17 game season, so it can't be 10-5. You got to add 2 games, but I understand. Either way, you saying they're winning, they're winning at that ratio. So by that ratio, that you saying about 10 wins or 11 wins, like that's my whole process is I'm just not sure with this draft being deep at edge. In the second, third, you got 2 fourths and 2 fifths. You can get 2 linemen, 2 edge rushers, a slot receiver / punt returner, which they haven't been able to do. Which I don't know why Kearis Jackson didn't get the job over Jaquan, because he obviously was a better returner during preseason. We've yet to have somebody return a full year without fumbling. I don't know. I'm just confused on that part. He said mushroom coffee tastes like that. You got to put the right creamer in it. We're not here to talk about mushroom coffee. The human mind has told me that not one of y'all, whether y'all like them or not, has said the Titans would lose more games with Cam Ward or Shador, which tells me instantly that you think they have a higher potential and they're better. I'm just saying, if the Titans go after Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter and we don't address this QB situation and they miss, Callahan is fired, Brinker is fired, the new GM is fired, and we're right back in the same situation. And let's say they don't fire Brinker. Let's say they fire Callahan and the new GM, who's basically a glorified scout. We have the same people running the show that's been making mistakes. He said Cam and Shador are better than any Tennessee QB to me. I don't think nobody will argue with you. So now let's go bridge first, because they've said they're on record saying they're gonna go bridge first, then go after.
Let me teach you how to
my personal thoughts is if I can't get Danny Dimes, because McCarthy's the same thing as taking the first round pick. I would agree, even though I don't like the sentiment. I would agree if you got JJ McCarthy, it would be the same risk as getting Cam Ward or Shador. He's a first round quarterback that was taken last year at the top end of the draft. He won a national championship. He was coached by Harbaugh. He's going to understand what he needs to do as a professional. I could go for that, but I'm not giving up a high value pick to get him. That's the issue. Some people think he's worth a first. I don't think he's worth a first. Now, like I said in my earlier post that people was disagreeing with, I'd give up a 4th round. I give up a 4th, a 5th. We got a couple of extra low. I give up something like that for him. Then your risk ain't bad. I think J.J. McCarthy would be a better quarterback than Will Levis and Mason Rudolph. I think he's got a higher skill set. But with that being said, you don't plan on having a number 1 pick in the next decade if you're picking that high. And with the amount of cap space we got available in the situation that we in roster-wise. So I'm thinking Daniel Jones for the Tennessee Titans may be
Let me teach you how to
target
vibe.
of bridge 1 with Jake Browning being a distant pass. Because I don't assume that I don't think he's much better than Mason Rudolph. I just don't. I think he's been on a good team that knows how to, like the Bengals are a team that knows how to bring along QBs. they're not one of those teams that have been poor at quarterback.
Let me teach you how to vibe.
I can't really go past that because the 49ers are in a situation where they're either going to walk from Purdy and try to bring somebody like Darnold back. I don't want Aaron Rodgers. I think that his time is gone. He needs to retire. And it would be too much of a circus show. Imagine the same people that's saying that Shador would be too much of a circus show would want Aaron Rodgers in Nashville. Imagine that. Like
let me teach you how to vibe.
That's why I have a hard time like trusting the people that make decisions. No, Tom Brady, no. Craig, there's no way I want Dylan Gabriel over them two. For one, Dylan Gabriel is under 6 feet. 2, he's a lefty. So he's like slightly undersized. I'm good on Dylan Gabriel. Now, hear me out. In a situation like the Patriots last year, let's say you do go for Cam or Shador and Dylan Gabriel sitting there in the 6th or 7th round, I'd have to think about taking him and already having a pre-built backup plan to say, Shador's my 1. I'm going to let Will Levis and Dylan Gabriel fight it out in training camp. Now, only reason why I don't want to do that, we did that last year. We had Mason Rudolph.
Let me teach you how to
we
vibe.
had Will Levis, and we had Malik Willis. Well, guess what? Malik Willis has got the same number of wins as a starter this year as Will Levis and Mason Rudolph combined. And he only started 3 games. I think he played in 4 games. Came in as a backup role in one other game. They was kind of getting beat bad in that first game back for Jordan Love. Cole McDonald and Logan Woodside, the master of the workout ceremony. I never seen a franchise that kept somebody as a backup quarterback on the roster because he led the team in workouts. Going for a running back? No. They already had traded up to get Tajay Spears 2 years ago. They got Tony Pollard and a deal, free agent deal. He still got 2 more years on his contract. They will go after a running back in the late rounds. We got 2 4ths. We got 2 5ths.
Let me teach you how to vibe.
You know, if it's a situation where like maybe a Scatterbo or Dylan Sampson or Le'Veon Moss, some of those guys sitting around 4th, 5th round, I think the Titans could use one of their extra compensatory picks on a running back because they let Hassan Haskins go to the Chargers. He's a special team superstar, and they've turned him into a really good third running back over there behind J.K. Dobbins and Gus. Like, he runs hard, he blocks well, he catches out the backfield, and he's really good on special teams, something that we lack. So I'm pretty sure the Titans are kicking themselves in the foot for letting a really good special teamer leave, and Chestnut not producing anything this year as a third running back. Cole McDonald, of course not. he was buns, dog. Like, and that was even in a more putrid caliber of QBs. What I'm saying is we had one in Malik Willis. Malik Willis looks good on the Green Bay Packers as a backup. They traded a 7th round pick for him. He won 3 games. And the guys we traded up to get and we traded for or we picked up in free agency hasn't worked out. So I don't see Dylan Gabriel. When you look at the QBs now, you get Will Howard or somebody drop down, maybe. Yeah. I'm being honest. Like, I'm thinking that the Titans should be really, really, really eyeing to see if they could pull Daniel Jones. And I'm just not a fan of this let's go defensive end thing. I'm just not. Because even in my mock where I traded back to 3 and got a haul, if you don't land your bridge and you reach on, like, let's say you get extra seconds, extra thirds, extra fourths, and you go Milroe, Ewer, somebody in that caliber. And let's say they don't beat out Will Levis in camp and you got another bridge in. You just wasted a pick. There could have been an offensive tackle playing right tackle. There could have been a really high, like, think about the second round pick that you would burn. That could be the first or second offensive guard selected in the draft. You know, things like that. You just get in, you just say, I got to get value out of my top end draft picks. I got to get value. Unfortunately, with the decisions they're making right now with how they handle firing Rand, Tennessee is going to sign a bridge, but it's going to be one you're not going to like. And if it's one I don't like, I'm already on board of like not even caring about Tennessee Titan football. I mean, the voice of the Tennessee Titans, people was trying to say that, if the Tennessee Titans were winning games and at the top of the league still, Mike Keith wouldn't. I know Tennessee is his dream job, but he wouldn't have made it easy for him. They've made it easy. Firing long time people in the front office and stuff like that kind of makes it easy for Mike Keith to leave on. Like, what do we have to cheer for with a new stadium coming in 27? Is this thought that the next draft class is going to be so great? It's going to be Drew Aller. It's going to be Carson Beck. It's going to be Arch Manning. I mean, and unless you're dead last again to draft Arch Manning, then like, I just don't see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're still going into the pool of unproven, hoping that they turn into something that they're not already. I don't see the Titans doing much until Amy sells the team. I don't think she's capable of running the franchise. You think the Giants go Hunter and try a vet in free agency or a second round QB? I really think it depends on what happens in front of them. I know that the Giants, Jets, and Raiders would trade up to take QB. We all know that. The point now is the fishing of what happens after the playoffs is over. What do the Steelers do? What do the Vikings do? What do the Niners do? Derek Carr doesn't want to take a pay cut. You know what the fee for Kirk Cousins is. Nobody kind of knows what Aaron Rodgers' last year is going to look like. So in this situation,
let me teach you how to vibe.
I think the Giants gonna have to draft a QB. I think the New England Patriots is the team that's gonna get Travis Hunter. He makes the most sense in New England because the teams that's in front, the Browns, the Titans, the Giants, they could get Travis Hunter and T-Mac.
Let me teach
if you don't have a quarterback, they're not going to win games. I mean, the Giants had Malik Neighbors. The Browns had Jerry Jeudy going crazy. The Titans had Calvin Ridley going crazy. I mean, Calvin Ridley probably has 1,500 receiving yards this year with just a decent quarterback. If you go back and watch the tape, how many plays was Calvin Ridley running open, like basically waving his hands on a deep post or behind the defense where the quarterback just missed him? I'd say the same with Jerry Jeudy. And I'd say the same with Malik Neighbors. Like, those guys probably get 300 or 400 extra receiving yards with just a decent QB or the same guy the whole year. Appreciate all y'all tapping in, man. We live on 3 different platforms: the green, the blue, the purple. Make sure y'all following on my YouTube so y'all can catch these when we come back. Legend, what's good? Yeah, they did a interview with Reggie McKenzie, but I mean, it's not a flashy job that anybody wants right now, though. You're taking a GM job where you're going to be a glorified scout. You're not going to get enough credit if you do select good players, and you're going to get all the blame if the players that y'all bring in don't work out. So, who really wants that job? So, I mean, ultimately, this first pick and what the Titans do at QB is not in Brian Callahan's job. When we talk that collaboration, it's really on Brinker. What is Brinker and Amy thinking behind the scenes, who have been making erratic decisions for the last few years since 22, going to do with Will Levis Mason Rudolph, Brian Callahan, and the number one pick where they could take a QB. But if we all agreed that they win more games with Cam or Shedeur, at that point, I just take Shedeur Sanders and just call it a day. I like Shedeur a little bit better than I like Cam Ward, but I'd take Cam Ward. It really wouldn't bother me which one of them I got. See, my trading back involved trading back one spot with the Browns if I thought they wanted Ward and then just taking Shedeur. And then I'd leave Will Levis on the roster with Shedeur, and I'd go out and I'd go after Daniel Jones. Because, I mean, reason why I say Daniel Jones is it's similar to the Chiefs. The Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes. They got Carson Wentz. Now, say what you want about Carson Wentz. If I had to have Carson Wentz come in for a few games, I really wouldn't be worried about him. It's kind of like Joe Flacco. Kind of like, this guy's going to be here for a couple of weeks. Let me see what I can get. He's capable of making a few plays, but his situation held him up. I don't need anybody that I'm bringing in that I feel like is going to be the same thing as a project that I have in Will Levis or a project that I would have, with certain, like, even a Justin Fields. Like, in some way it's a project. Like the Cowboys project this year was Trey Lance. It didn't work out. I don't think it takes long to get lucky in a situation. Either it's the right situation with the right coaching and the right things around them, or it ain't. And usually you find out pretty quick if it's the right fit. I use Malik Willis as my stepping stool, as my tool for that he was there for 3 weeks. He had one preseason with the new regime in Nashville, and he was 3-0 as a starter. Like, so in my mind, I just need somebody that can they grab the game plan for a few games and hold the wheel. Because in most of these bridge situations, most Saints fans would rather roll Spencer Rattler out there and live or die with a young guy making mistakes than Derek Carr's $40 million plus. People in Atlanta would rather see Michael Penix have a full season than see Kirk Cousins go out there and go on a 5 or 6 week stretch where he threw eight picks and 0 touchdowns when they pretty much just handed the division back to the Bucs. So nobody's gonna give $60 million to Brock Purdy. Like, the closest he gonna get to it is gonna be in San Francisco because they feel like they owe him for getting them to the Super Bowl. But Brock Purdy's not, like, right now. How much do you think Brock Purdy's worth? These teams that are looking for a QB: Raiders, Jets, Titans, Browns, Giants. Which one of them giving Brock Purdy 60? Which one of them are giving Brock Purdy 60? I need to know. Y'all tell me which one of them teams is giving Brock Purdy 60. He said, your man said they want y'all to go defense, and you said we done that for straight. His mom was exactly. Yeah. That's RJ from Titans Coliseum. It's, bro, like, we done being suckered into saying people telling us what they think we should do based off an emotion. Get out of your feelings. The same people that are telling me we should take Abdul Carter are saying that Harold Landry ain't got it no more. He got 9 sacks on a team that's dead last in the league. If he was on a decent team, he'd probably have 13, 14 sacks just from being on the field in games where we got the lead and they could just blitz. So, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just confused on, like, where people are at in the market to know the position that we're in. We're in a good position. We don't have a lot of money tied up in free agency at the QB position. Like, Mason Rudolph was making nothing. Will Levis is making nothing. Tannehill's contract is gone. You got the first pick. Go evaluate, pick Cam Ward or Shedeur, and the franchise won't be mad at you. But if you go out here and pick defense, and we sitting here with quarterback struggles next year, and Cam Ward or Shador wind up being good on the Jets, the Browns, the Raiders, or the Giants, like, we're gonna be sick. It don't matter how good the defense is. Like, we know that without the front office saying, like, Nahil say he can speak for Amy, we ain't heard nothing. Brinker say he can speak for Amy, we ain't heard nothing. He's declining interviews. We know Miss Amy ain't talking, and the only person that could get Miss Amy to talk is Mike Keefe, and he retired and went to the Tennessee Volunteers. So if we not finna hear from front office, and Brian Callahan, we know don't have the power to make the pick or even speak. Like, you know how bad it is that our head coach doesn't even have the power to even speak. He don't even know if he gonna get to call plays next year. And he coming to Nashville to call plays was one of the reasons why he took this job, because he was going to be allowed to call plays. This Dakota Rain Prescott 60. He said, did I say I wanted 30 points? I said, we haven't scored 30 points in 3 years, but 3 times in 3 years. So, and 3 times in 4 years. So I was saying, like, we need to be able to score points, and you only do that with a QB. Big.
Let me teach you how to vibe.
25 dragon stickers in the chat, man. On the green, you do not even have to be a sub to hit that dragon sticker. All you got to do is click on that emote button down at the bottom. Click on that dragon support. If you're on the purple, all you got to do is use that Amazon Prime free sub to use it. And if you're on the book, check your notifications. You might have a free one, man. Drop them stickers in the chat. Big Jeff coming in with the 25 ball. But I mean, I don't even, people got to, like, people argue with me about market for years. And what did I tell y'all about market? Market is just this imaginary thing that tells you that something that you know how much it's worth costs more because somebody said it does. Not because it's a scarce resource. Like, find me some mid quarterbacks that are going to lead you to a 500 record and throw picks when it count. I could find them all over the league. So it's like, it's not like it's a, like, call Jimmy Garoppolo right now and send him to Nashville if we need somebody that could be mid. But at least he's been to a Super Bowl and the NFC Championship. You know what I'm saying? Like, he understands he's getting less than 10 million. Call Garoppolo right now. He'll smile and look for the camera and do the thumbs up and say the right things in the press conferences. Like, if I just want somebody mid, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, VR the champ in the building, man. Hey, that comeback last night was crazy. Pause.
Let me teach you how to vibe.
Mike Battle 256. But if your team is a team that's in the running for a QB, Discord is open. I'm in the shop. Anybody want to hop in and battle back, say who they think they're gonna get? In my mind, I think Cam Ward and Shador should be 1 or 2. I think the Browns and the Titans should walk away with one of those 2 guys. I wouldn't be mad with either one.
Let me teach you how to vibe.
I think for the situation that the Titans are in, as far as needing to turn their franchise around, I think Shador would be a good fit. I think we should leave the Giants out in the cold. I'm sorry 2 times. I'm sorry, Mont. We should leave them out in the cold, leaving them to trade back because the QBs are off the board, which would leave the New England Patriots sitting there to draft Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, T-Mac, Mason Graham from Michigan. I think those would be the next selections called after that in the draft. Oh, boy. Texas, Ohio State. I think Ohio State's the hotter team right now. I think they're the healthier, hotter team. But as we seen last night, doesn't matter. We see who really wants it tonight when they load up. Dallas might trade up for Mason Graham from 12. I mean, he's a goon. I think he's gonna be a dog up front. But I fully hope that the Tennessee Titans are able to go get a bridge for $10 million or less, leave Will Levis there, say bye bye to Mason Rudolph, and draft Shedeur Sanders. The only way I don't see them taking Shedeur Sanders at 1 is if they trade back one spot to the Browns, pick up a little bit more draft capital, let the Browns draft Cam Ward, and then they draft Shedeur. That's the only way I see it. I see if they trade back further than that, I'm gonna turn the draft off on draft night, because I just had this feeling if they trade back past 2, I know the Giants is taking Shedeur. So it's like if they trade out of this QB situation, we'll be in this QB situation dealing with it again next year. King's ransom. But that's what I'm saying. Like the Browns would sell their soul to move up to one spot to take the person they feel comfortable about, the most comfortable with. And if I'm thinking correctly, I'm thinking the Browns would move up to trade Cam Ward. And if they did, I'd be happy to have Shedeur at 2 and getting some draft capital from them. Think Dallas take Gentry at 12. The more and more I looked at the tape, Nick, Dallas should get a more pressing piece at number 12. It's a lot of running backs in the draft. I mean, Ollie Gordon, Scottibo, Dylan Sampson, Devin Neal, DeMarion Hampton. It's a lot of good running backs in that you could get in the second or third. I mean, you got to remember the Tennessee Titans got Derrick Henry in the second round. So you don't always have to get a first round running back. I think that would be emotional if they took Gentry. You might as well play now, Jeff. I mean, you invested into it and just see where it go. I go for Ohio State tonight only because Will Howard and I went to the same high school for sure. That's my thoughts though. I mean, like just don't like teams get emotional by hearing people on ESPN and weird fans saying what they think we should get. In my mind, the Tennessee Titans, the fan base can only be rejuvenated by Chad Brinker walking out on that podium and selecting Shedeur or trading back to 2 with the Browns and taking whoever the Browns don't take. But the ransom would have to be high, and I'm talking about a high value draft pick in 26 and something. All right, if they traded back to 2 and they got a draft pick, a high value in 26, and they got their third round pick back for what they trade is need in, at least that's the beginning of where it's worth it. That's the beginning of where it's worth it, not the ending. That's the beginning of it. So, you know, if we took the beginning of it and started there, I'd trade back to 2 to have no less than either Shedeur or Cam Ward. That would rejuvenate the franchise, or at least they just walked out and did what everybody didn't expect them to do, and just say, "Hey, we're taking Shedeur Sanders and or Cam Ward, and the hell what anybody thinks." I think the franchise will be better for it because with Mike Keith being gone, watching Derrick Henry run for 2,000, watching AJ Brown in the playoffs, watching all them former Titans playing for the Chargers, you just got to look up and say, you know what? Let's put some energy back into the franchise because nobody believes in Will Levis or Mason Rudolph. People are hanging on by a thread with Callahan, but at least if we seen them come out next year and be able to move the ball and score some points, I still think free agency is a spot where they could add talent at receiver. I still think the draft is open for running back, for offensive line. I think for edge, this is a really good edge draft. I mean, like in my mock draft, give me Shedeur Sanders and Landon Jackson from Arkansas, and let's start there. Give me some energy. You know what I'm saying? Like let me know that we trying to win football games and y'all not just trying to get to this new stadium where y'all could pick first 2 years in a row. I think these restrictions, because you get 2 to 5 years, we're going to have super teams like the Golden State Warriors. Don't matter. Don't mean you're going to win. Melissa, what's good? Like Nick Saban say, even if you spend 20 million, you got to spend it on the right guys. And some of these teams spend a lot of money, and their teams is still at the house. So, got to take that into consideration. But just to stay focused on this QB situation, I really wanted to hear more from y'all on who y'all thought was the best bridges for the money. I don't think the Titans need to get any bridge that costs more than 10 million. And because if that's the case, if you're really trying to rebuild, and Chad Brinker's MO is building through the draft and not spending a lot in free agency, now I agree with that. Now I know I've been critical of this Brinker move, but if Brinker's MO is not to spend a lot in free agency, hopefully that means that QB. Hopefully that means he's going to draft a quarterback and go that route. Because for whatever anybody wants to think, the Texans took a young QB, it's worked. The Commanders took a young QB, it's worked. The Bears are improving slightly, but they improving. The Colts, I don't think Anthony Richardson is a bad QB. I think the Colts is just about as big a failure in the front office as the Titans is at times. And how they've handled Anthony Richardson, you know what I'm saying, and the culture that they have there. Everybody that's seen to take these Bo Nix has worked out. Like, just take the QB and let's see something different. Like I'm just not wanting to see another version of what the Titans just were, because the pressure would be so high that when the next season starts, if the Titans start out 0-2 or 0-3, QB, coach, we're going to start gutting, and then that's when you're going to see Amani Hooker ask out, Jeffrey Simmons ask out, Calvin Ridley ask out, all your stars that are still there, and you know it'll be over for Landry. Like, it just be a bad situation. I'd say that we'll be set back 10 years if they botch this offseason. That's crazy, Nick. If you take a bridge, the best may be Danny Dimes, Garoppolo, or Flacco. In my mind, I think Danny Dimes is the best of what is currently available that you don't have to spend a lot of money on. Bring in Jameis Winston. I think Jameis Winston need to go into media. I think he'd be great in the booth. He said Giants are if y'all both probably taking QBs unless y'all happen to get a decent bridge. There's not a bridge that would not, even if we got Danny Dimes, I still want Shador. You see what I'm saying? Like, reason why I say this is people thought the Vikings were going to be in a rebuilding phase. They brought in Sam Darnold, and they drafted J.J. McCarthy. McCarthy got hurt. Darnold has won 14 games, and now they're in a situation where their practice squad active QB is Daniel Jones, and they got J.J. McCarthy and Sam Darnold. That's a great position to be in. You know, the Lions got Jared Goff, extended him, and then drafted Hendon Hooker. It's a great situation to be in, even though they make a lot of mistakes lately, and maybe even so moving on from their coach so soon, unless they get Mike Vrabel. The New England Patriots got Drake May and Milton and Brissett. Like, it's nothing wrong with having a lot of talent at the QB position till you figure it out. The 49ers was on a Super Bowl window with Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy, and Trey Lance on roster. Like, it's not a bad thing to have multiple options. I just think you in the best option when you got more to choose from. So the teams that are good, Commanders had Mariota. You know, the Eagles had Mariota last year. Then you got Jalen Hurts with Kenny Pickett that they brought in. Like, I still think you got to always keep exploring your options. I feel like that's what the best teams do. Carson Wentz on the Chiefs. The Bills went and got Trubisky, which if Trubisky's, I don't know what he's getting paid. I think it's pretty cheap. If you bring in Trubisky on a cheap deal, I mean, he's not a bad backup, and they still could draft somebody in the late rounds, you know, in case Josh went down. I just think the good teams are trying to have 2 to 3 quarterbacks on roster. But Nano, this is my point. Who's coming out at QB next year? Arch Manning, Carson
Let me teach
Beck.
you how to vibe.
I mean, like, it's gonna be the same situation. Like, I don't think it's a better situation than what you got right now. Think about it. Last year was a really good QB draft. The year before, people were saying it was kind of question mark. Bryce Young is starting to work out. C.J. Stroud has worked out. Anthony Richardson, I don't think is the full problem in Indianapolis. And Will Levis, see, people think that Will Levis was a first round draft pick by us, but he was a second. He was not a first round draft pick. The worst year was the year of Desmond Ridder and Malik Willis. I don't think that Shador and Cam and Milroe, Quinn Ewers, Will Howard, I don't think those guys are as bad as Malik Willis and Desmond Ridder was that year. I think they're a lot better. I think it's gonna be some shake-up, Becker. It really was more shake-up last year. Last year, 8 coaches got fired, and a lot of pieces was moved. But Nano, that's what I'm saying. Like, all right, if you put Arch Manning, if you put Drew Aller and you put Carson Beck into this draft, and you sped it up, I'm still right now like looking at Cam Ward and Shador. You know, Jaden Daniels was too skinny and C.J. Stroud was too dumb, and Caleb Williams had painted nails. But they're all better than all the options of all the teams that need a QB. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Browns ain't rolling Dorian Thompson-Robinson back out at quarterback. The Titans don't want to roll back out there with Levis and Rudolph. The Raiders don't want to roll out with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell next year. The Jets, if Aaron Rodgers retires, like, who is their quarterback? Now, a name that could be out there, that could be a Geno Smith or Sam Darnold, could be Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson has the physical talent. He just was on the Jets. He might have had enough time to bounce back. But then, you know what I'm saying? Like, if it don't work, then you're like, okay, we wasted a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't waste a year. Go get the best bridge you can get. Go get Daniel Jones. Go get Shador and get Will Levis and throw them into a blender. Who wants to open up the 27 stadium in Nissan on the Cumberland River? Who wants to do that? Who wants to do it? 7 Day, what's good? That's what I would be telling him. Because you just need to put as many good options as you can in the situation. Like, the Chiefs got there because Alex Smith was there, and then Patrick Mahomes came, and they said, who should we play? You know, the Chiefs was a 10-plus win team with Alex Smith before they got Patrick Mahomes starting. You know, Tom Brady came in for Bledsoe. Kurt Warner came in for Edwards. Like, it was teams that was already good, had a guy that was better. You know, like, they came, you know, Steve Young came behind Joe Montana. You know, Aaron Rodgers behind Favre. Jordan Love behind Aaron Rodgers. Like, teams that are good at QB are building something behind that. But that's more to my point right now. The more and more and more and more I look at it, just draft a QB. Just draft Shador and just close your eyes and do it. Because everybody needs a QB. And from the Titans to the Browns to the Giants to the Raiders to the Jets, one of them 5 teams is going to get a QB on their roster that's going to make their team better. The Jets have a good defense. The Browns have a good defense. The Titans have a good defense. The Raiders have a good defense. Like, all these teams have good defenses with stars on them. The Browns is led by Myles Garrett. Titans by Jeffrey Simmons.
Let me teach you how to vibe.
Jets, Quinnen Williams, Sauce Gardner. Raiders, Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins, Trevon Moore. Like, these teams have good defenses that just can't score. Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence. on the Giants, like these teams have good defenses. They just need somebody to play quarterback. One of those teams is gonna get a QB and they're gonna elevate. Like the Broncos. The Broncos got Bo Nix and elevated. The Commanders got Jaden Daniels and elevated. Like, you just got to get the QB. The Texans, the same way. The Texans was a 2-win team the year before Lovie Smith. You get C.J. Stroud, you elevate. Nobody can move up unless the Titans get out the way. I don't see the Browns giving up their pick. Only team I see trading back is the Jets. I mean, it's not the Jets, but the Giants. The Giants, Jets, or Raiders, if they guys are gone, because it's a big drop off to me in talent once you get past them first 5 picks. Because then it's like good teams picking a good player to make them even better. Like a good team is gonna get Warren, the tight end for Penn State. You know, like players like that are gonna go like the best tackle, the best guard are gonna go to teams that are better, like not bad teams. If the Jets offer Hassan Reddick and 2 first round and a third, I take it. But you're not getting Travis Hunter. You're not getting T-Mac. You're not getting Mason Graham. You're not getting Ward. You're not getting Shador. Like, you're dropping back. You're dropping back. And I'm not crazy about Hassan Reddick. I mean, he had his time, but I want some youth. If you've been seeing what Chad Brinker is about, it's about getting young people and developing young players and getting rid of the old guys with names. Ready to find that GM. I think Max Crosby get traded this offseason and let them jumpstart their rebuild. I think the Browns. I think the Browns and the Raiders are 2 teams that I think Myles Garrett, Max Crosby on the move. See, the Jets' defensive stars are young. Quentin Williams, Sauce Gardner, like them boys is young, so like they're not like old players that feel like their time is up. The same way with the Giants. The Giants' defensive players are young, but you look at the Raiders and the Browns, guys are a little bit older. I think those are the teams that could jumpstart their rebuild by trading Myles Garrett and Max Crosby. I mean, Chad is the GM. They just trying to dodge the Rooney Rule. That's all it is. They just trying to dodge getting hit by the Rooney Rule. Yep, Becker.
Let me teach you how to vibe.
But one of these teams is going to get a QB. Now, here's the other side of it. How does Calvin Ridley, how does Malik Neighbors, how does Garrett Wilson, how does Devontae Adams, Alan Lazard, how does how does Jerry Jeudy, how do these guys' numbers go up when they get a solid QB that's going to play the whole season for them? T. Jones was good. But that's all I'm saying is, like, look at the guys that's there. Those are 1,000-yard receivers on bad teams that are gonna get a boost in 200, 300, 400 yards in production and a handful of touchdowns if they get a solid QB. And we talking about Nick Westbrook-Akine, who is the 5th receiver on the roster, having 9 touchdowns on a year where QBs is a different guys playing every week. And I just have this feeling that if it was Cam Ward or Shador, one of them 5 teams would be better for it by having somebody there to build around on what they're going to do. But the one fear that I have is because they're so unsure on Callahan, and it's talks that Brinker may have wanted to move on from Callahan. Do you bring a rookie quarterback into a situation where he's going to be dealing with an offense, a scheme, a coordinator, and a system that won't be there the next year to open up that stadium?
Let me teach you how
That's
to
the
vibe.
only fear, but it's also heavy as the head that wears the crown. If you're taking the first overall pick, And you got to be willing that's why I like Shador. If y'all follow his YouTube and see where his mind works, he's already kind of been in that situation by going to Jackson State, winning, and then going to Colorado and turning it around in situations where he really didn't have much time in grounding. It's like kind of just fly by. If he gets to the place where he can sit and kind of, get comfortable, I think I loved his mindset as a player. And Cam Ward seems like a person that shakes off adversity. Like when something happened, like he's able to shake it off and get back to it. I think that's one of the biggest things that hurt Will Levis and Rudolph, and even Skoronski said it in the interview, when those post games, locker room interviews, where when things happen, guys get rattled and can't get back. And when you look at Rudolph and Levis, that's what it looked like all year. It looked like when something went wrong, they wasn't able to shake it off and get back on out there and continue. Like the snowball got bigger. Ultimate curveball. Brinker fires Callahan and hires Deion, drafts Shador and Shiloh. Since Deion said he only way in head coach is if he get to coach Shador and Shiloh. I take Shiloh at free safety and Shador at QB. It's not like Shiloh's gonna be some high draft pick. We probably gonna be able to get him with a compensatory pick. He said, I like Shador to the Titans. OL sold me. Sebastian, Mad Titan, Kevin G. Mitch. Sadiq with the follow. But yeah, Discord be open if y'all be want to, if y'all want to add something to the conversation. Y'all got a question, something that y'all agree with, disagree with. Titans is interviewing everybody. Dimitrioff, Spytek, Barry, Dawes, Terrence Gray, Catherine Hickman, Borgonzi, Ian Cunningham. And see, the part is people like Borgonzi and Cunningham the best. But are you going to leave a situation where you get to pick the players? Imagine Cunningham being in the process that picked Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze and then come to the Titans and don't have no chance to pick this QB. I mean, imagine picking players with the Chiefs and coming to the Titans and them telling you have no control over who you're picking. I just find that hard to believe. Chronic, what's good? With the Titans front office in such cluster mess, does that hurt their chances at getting any real value trade? Number one, no, because like I said, the Browns and Titans pick 1-2, and it's 5 teams that need a QB in this draft. I don't anticipate all 5 of them being able to get a bridge in free agency to where they feel comfortable. And I think all those teams know their guy is not in their city. So the number 1 pick is the number 1 pick. I had to disagree with one of my friends about this. They're saying that, like, how can you say the number 1 pick is any less valuable when everybody needs the QB? We just watched the draft. We watched the Bears, Commanders, Broncos. We watched the Texans. We watched Bryce Young turning around. We watched all these teams get better by getting a young QB. And the teams that are good now, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, the Eagles, the Lions, the Packers, all the teams that are now got better through the draft. Like their stars are, like Jalen Hurts was drafted. All those stars they got, Cooper DeJean, all drafted. And then you go bring in that home run free agent. Devontae Smith, drafted. You know what I'm saying? But then you go bring in an A.J. Brown or a Saquon Barkley to put it over the top. You the Ravens, then you go get Derrick Henry to put you over the top. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get that player to put you over the top in free agency. You don't build your team through it. Those quarterbacks is all drafted to that team with the exception of Jared Goff. But what they got back in return for the Jared Goff trade with Stafford is they got Goff and they got about 10 first-round draft picks over 4 years. and that has been Jahmyr Gibbs, Aiden Hutchinson, and the like. You know, like all those stars that they have came from all those extra draft picks they had. He said 5 minutes. You gonna come in and catch an L? I got you, bro. But I do appreciate you though. Like, let me say this: Rich, Impulse, Becker, Big Jeff, Sealy. I appreciate anybody that gets in. Now, believe this: I'm not getting you in the Discord to try to like go back and forth with nobody or fight nobody. I'm getting people in the Discord so we can have conversations for content. And I want to bring some guests on in the near future, especially with the Titans having the number one pick leading up into the draft. But it's to say that like let's exchange ideas. Let's go back and forth so we can, you know, if everybody just agrees and nobody disagrees, like I don't think you get any growth in the conversation. I think the growth comes from going back and forth. And I be telling y'all I want y'all to change my mind, but in this situation, more often than not, the teams that have got it right at QB, and to the people that disagree with me, the Commanders had Howell and they traded him. And they drafted again. Teams have shot at a QB like the Bears with Justin Fields. They traded him. The Steelers drafted Kenny Pickett, brought in Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, and traded him. The Broncos brought in Russell Wilson and had Drew Lock, traded them both, and got Bo Nix. You don't stop the hunt for the QB. You just don't stop the hunt for the QB. The 49ers had Garoppolo in the Super Bowl. They drafted Trey Lance. Trey Lance didn't work out. They sent him to Dallas. And they got Brock Purdy.
Let me teach you how to
now that Brock
vibe.
Purdy is $160 million, I think the shakeup of the league, Vikings lose to the Rams this weekend. Sam Darnold goes back to San Francisco. They draft a QB. J.J. McCarthy stays and starts. They could be the worst for the Titans, though, because I think Daniel Jones stays on the roster. Vikings win. Sam Darnold stays. Danny Dimes out. I don't think they get the value they want for J.J. McCarthy. Because I can't foresee a situation. Let's say Titans and Browns go Shedeur Cam Ward. Giants, Jets, and Raiders still need a QB. Which one of those teams is willing to give up a high value draft pick to get McCarthy? Now, could be the Raiders send Max Crosby to Minnesota with a pick to get JJ. I don't see the Jets doing that. I don't see the Giants doing that. So I just think about the teams that need, like, what would they have to give up to get it? We went QB in the first round back-to-back seasons because they saw after 1 year Rosen wasn't the guy. He's not even in the league now. You got to shoot for it, Chronic. Vikings win, Darnold stays, Danny Dimes leaves, Vikings lose, Darnold leaves, Danny Dimes is the bridge for JJ. That's my thought. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just trying to figure out where it works out best for Tennessee. Because I love it if Sam Darnold won and they kept JJ and the Titans get Danny Dimes. Now, the Patriots have Drake May and Joe Milton. Joe Milton might want to play somewhere, but if they hire Mike Vrabel, he might keep them both. Mike Vrabel might keep them both. Lions got Hendon Hooker and Jared Goff. It just depends on how motivated is the backup to want to be a starter somewhere. That might change that process. Seahawks trade DK Metcalf to get JJ and move on from Geno. I don't think you have DK Metcalf on the Vikings with Jay Jettis and Addison. And I've been saying that for weeks, Bill. This is a big game between the Vikings and Rams. Two Nate surgeons for McCarthy makes the team's heads of the trade. And see, Chronic, people laughed at me when I was telling them you can't get a first for a quarterback, even if he was a first last year that's had 2 knee surgeries. The team is winning without him. They're winning with the bridge. The leverage for McCarthy ain't there. And then if you seen him on the sidelines, he don't have the headset and stuff on. So I'm gonna stick with what I said. A 4th for JJ McCarthy, they should be happy. Now, I said if the Tennessee Titans was to give up an extra 4th and get JJ McCarthy and then took Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter after trading back, like that could be the big load. That could be the biggest load. Titans got an extra 4th. Give up your extra 4th that you traded for Ernest Jones. Use that to get JJ McCarthy. Trade back from 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 with the Browns or the Giants. Get your 3rd back plus a first next year and an extra high round pick this year. Then you really can go crazy in the 2nd round picking like Landon Jackson and a safety, and you could get a Scatterbo or Dylan Sampson or DeMarion Hampton as your 3rd running back, and you could have got you a receiver in that mix. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, it's a lot that could be done if you was to go that way.
Let me teach you how to vibe.
I mean, I might shock people and say if I traded back and I was a Titans, if I was to get a 4th round pick for McCarthy, I'd trade back and get T-Mac. Give me Mike Evans, baby. Because he going to be, whoever get that T-Mac kid, he's going to be a goon, dog. 6'5", can run and run routes. Say Zach Wilson up next. Do they want to get, see, this is the problem. If a team is good, they got more than one option at QB. Find me a team that's good that don't have 2 solid options at QB. And if you get them, do you give up that comfort? If you know what I'm saying, like, do you give up the comfort of having Carson Wentz as a backup if you're the Chiefs? Like, what is the value of you making that move, especially when it don't cost that much? Not just the 2 knee surgeries, but 2 knee surgeries before taking a single snap. Yeah, there's a big factor in why JJ might be the trade target. Minnesota only has their 1st and 5th round pick this draft. The Vikings got a little leverage. The Niners can make some moves if they let Purdy go. Now let's talk that. Let's say the Niners let Purdy walk. If the Vikings lost in his 1st round and they moved on from Darnold, the 49ers would be the best spot for him to go. He's already been with Shanahan. It's people that would argue they like Sam Darnold better than Purdy. He'd be cheaper than the $60 million. You probably could get him 30. Who picks up Purdy? I know nobody's giving him 60. I know nobody giving him 60. The best bet for Purdy would to go in right now and tell them he wants a team-friendly deal because he wants to win and he wants to have better players around and to take a team-friendly deal. If he gets paid max at that about $60 million that he's asking for, I just don't see it. I don't see it. Because it's like, matter of fact, we hour and 15 in for this last segment of let's go through the league.
Let me teach you how to vibe.
We can start. Y'all want to start AFC or NFC? RL, Bowling, Rook, Russell, what's good? Sean K, Rovin. Y'all go AFC, NFC. This dude here. Let's go AFC, NFC. Big Jeff first say NFC. Let's go West. Cardinals. What are the Cardinals going to do at QB? Becker. Is Kyler Murray the future, or are they trying to find a replacement? what kills Purdy's case for getting 60 million is when everyone around got hurt to be the guy. They didn't make the playoffs. So what y'all say? We already in NFC. We on the Cardinals. Is Kyler Murray the guy? He not the guy.
Salutations.
What's good? And Becker, you a Cardinals fan. You know better than anybody about your team.
I fuck with the Cardinals too a little bit. I think the best move is to keep trying to develop around Kyler Murray. But at the same time, if somebody give you an offer you can't refuse, that helps your team in the longevity, saves you a little money because his contract is a little hefty. You pull the trigger. You know what I'm saying? I could see Kyler Murray on the Jets. I could see Kyler Murray possibly maybe on the Browns. You know what I'm saying? If they want to deal that pick, it's just all about, big risk, big rewards. But if you don't want to take that risk, just keep him and keep trying to develop around him. Maybe get a better running game. Maybe get some better tight ends, some better offensive linemen.
They got a goon at tight end. Their running back's pretty solid. Keep Kyler for at least one more season, but may look at mid-round QB or signing a veteran. AC puts Kyler. Didn't they bring Ritter in last year and he was gone like instantly? Because I want to say y'all traded to get Ritter in to see if he could push Kyler. Nah, that definitely didn't. I think you got to go through the draft, unless they probably seen maybe that year they may have been looking at Ritter in the draft process.
Yeah, Kyron Lacy just messed up his life.
Purdy on the Jets. The problem is, like, how much is he actually worth? The Niners ain't about to get. The Niners fight hard on contracts. They're not about to give him 60.
I think Brock Purdy worth about 20, 25. I don't know if he worth 30.
Kyron Lacy just messed up his life. He wanted on a hit and run, and the person he hit died. Well, take him off my draft board because he was like shooting guns and doing all kind of stuff in the post. Cam Newton was just talking to him like about calming that down.
Same shit. Yeah.
Cam Newton was just saying like you can't do the aiming the gun at people and all like because they're gonna play that in court. That's just all right. So Seahawks is Geno. How long is Geno's shelf life in Seattle, or is it up?
It's wild. I think he got about a year left. They're going to start to try to develop the next era of Seattle football. The division is really weak, but at the same time, it's not. I think it's just as competitive as the AFC North, personally, because at one point, the Cardinals was the number one team in the division. So they're going to start trying to develop because they got some tools. They got a lot of young pieces. They got some cap. John Schneider's still up there making some good football decisions. So,
All right, so we saying the Cardinals is set for right now. Seahawks is set for right now. We know the 49ers is waiting on Purdy's. Rams, Matt Stafford, how many years he got left in the tank? Matt Stafford is still an elite QB, but how many years does he have left in the tank?
Let me teach you
I know they got Stetson Bennett and he didn't work out. But like I think they probably continue going that route. Like as long as Matt Stafford is still playing, they're probably still taking late round QBs to see if they can develop. But this is my thing. If you're a QB and you get drafted with McVay and you can't develop, you probably never going to play.
That's not necessarily fair.
I'm saying like if you with Andy Reid, McVay, LaFleur, some of these guys, and you can't develop at all, like to at least be on the field, I just think teams look at you like,
You really got to be Tennessee
or Cleveland,
got to be,
or the Jets. You know what I'm saying? Like if you was on one of these like teams that's known for burning QBs, I think people give you more of a leash.
I'm just saying you really got to be balling in practice to take Matthew Stafford's spot. Like you really got to be doing some things.
I'm not saying take his spot. Is that people see promise enough that like you can see some flashes in preseason? Like Stetson Bennett came
Matt
from
Castle
Georgia
went
11-5
in New England, and then when he went to Kansas City, the nigga never had a winning record. So sometimes it's just situational football personnel. Matt Castle.
Matt Castle.
Exactly. You feel me?
Matt
Like you
Castle
might
was
look
like
good.
bald by the
Like
time he
you
got.
might you might
He's
look
like an
good with
old
the Brady
man.
bunch. Like I just hate that because you know a lot of players got burned. Well, you can't play for Belichick or it didn't work for Belichick, and it's like okay, well that probably wasn't the right system for my skill set. Even though I didn't get in trouble and I came to work every day and I followed all Belichick's rules, you know what I'm saying? It still looks like I didn't make it work for Belichick, so I can't get a job. I just sometimes it's bad place, bad timing.
I also think like that's a benefit to you though. Like if you play for Harbaugh, if you play for Belichick, you play for Andy Reid, certain these coaches, people assume coming in that you know how to be a professional in certain things. You're gonna already just it's gonna be a part of your DNA. It's like JJ McCarthy. Part of his value is he was in Jim Harbaugh's system. That people feel like that he's gonna be able to pick up and grasp pro concepts of if he's thrown to another situation. So like
Jim Harbaugh has winning record quarterbacks in the league.
I think that's why you I think that's why it's like a double edged sword. You got to take the good and the bad with that. That you know if you do play for one of those coaches and you're not able to pick it up, people look down on you. But if you do play for one of those coaches and you know how to do the basics, you know like I feel like all the players that are playing good for Harbaugh now that was Titans, they were variable guys.
They were Ravens too.
You know, it's like, of course they're gonna know how to. John Harbaugh, you know, like, of course they're gonna know they gonna know that it's a certain standard of professionalism that come with preparation and practice.
I mean,
They're gonna be good on special teams.
At the other side too, you could look at it like how people say we love Mike Tomlin, but damn near every receiver he have is probably gonna be a knucklehead. Claypool, Martavius Bryant, Antonio Brown, George Pickens, Mike Wallace, Plaxico Burress.
We talked about that the other night. You know what I'm saying?
I was watching. I was in the chat. I'm the one who said Martavius Bryant.
We're gonna stick to the.
No, I'm just saying like the coaching recipe sometimes can, like you say, work good in your favor, but I think it's dependent on if people actually like the coach too. And sometimes we can be overran on the coach.
All right, let's go north. Lions is set. We ain't got to go there. We've done the Vikings in extensive. The Packers are set, and I think the Bears are good. I don't think Caleb Williams is the problem. I just think that they got to build a culture in there that keeps everybody accountable. That continues to put things around him so he can grow. Like I don't think Caleb Williams' talent is any of the issue in Chicago. I think they front office is just about as bad as Nashville or any of these other teams that stay at the top of the draft board.
Cleveland, Indianapolis.
That one division is that's a division that's pretty much set at QB. Let's go NFC South. Baker Mayfield in Tampa is set. The Saints fans are a little delusional right now. Carr does not want to take. Carr doesn't want to take a pay cut. And
cut that man.
A lot of these guys like Spencer Rattler, and I don't think Spencer Rattler is the guy for them. So they're in a tough situation. What y'all think about the Saints quarterback situation?
I think the quarterback situation in New Orleans is a bigger problem that the Saints created before Derek Carr got there, when they were just spending money like they was like a perennial NFC power post Drew Brees. So now it's like now they gotta like try to cut costs and I kind of feel cuz I ain't taking no pay cut for y'all bum ass decisions. Like,
but this is the thing though.
You ain't winning games either.
He's holding on to that pay because that's it for him, and he's making the best decision for himself. But we're not talking about from Derek Carr's perspective, because he's already eating on a bunch of big contracts. From the Saints' perspective, what should they do at quarterback?
Cut that man and take the young quarterback. Cut that man and take the young quarterback. That's
Jeff
what I would
draft. I think the Broncos have shown they paid the price to let Russell Wilson. It cost them money to get rid of Russell Wilson, but they got that guy. I think they got to take it. They got to take it like that. Because Jake Haener ain't it. I think they got to pay the cost to cut him, and find a guy. All right, so you got the Falcons.
Taysom Hill was gonna be an answer down there.
Falcons seem to be set. Kirk Cousins is gonna be moved. Somebody's gonna pick up that $27.5 million for Kirk Cousins as a bridge next year. I hope it ain't in Nashville. But Falcons seem to be set with Penix. I think Penix is I think that their fan base are kind of excited about seeing a whole season from him next season. I don't think they're in the running for a QB. In the same with the Panthers, I think when they finally decided to stop thinking about just names and putting some other young players with Bryce Young and understanding that you wasn't going to be able to plug him in and make them into back to Cam Newton level just by putting him in there. Which that's another conversation that's going to come through this process is it's too many people that think when you're rebuilding, you can just get a quarterback and it fixes everything. It helps speed the process up. It covers holes. But you still have to develop all three phases of your football team, your culture, your media, your radio. Like everything has to come along with it. There's no one guy you could just sit in a situation and it's gonna change. That's just not how it works. All right, so NFC East, Cowboys seem like they bringing McCarthy back. That means Dak's coming back. I think he's got a no trade clause. Eagles is set. They got Jalen Hurts and Kenny Pickett. Commanders are more than set. Jaden Daniels is the future. Giants sitting at 3, not knowing if they're going to be able to pick Cam Ward or Shador. What is the Giants' options? Because they crapped out with the Daniel Jones Saquon. Well, my Giants fans at, what do the Giants do at QB knowing that they don't have the power to pick the two quarterbacks that people assume are going to go 1-2? That might be a better option, Becker. What y'all think about the Giants? Giants in a tough spot. I think they may be in one of the worst positions of all these teams we named. Giants is like up there and being one of the worst positions. Come on 2 times. Month. Y'all Giant fans is quiet. Y'all be talking a lot. We talking about somebody else in the Cowboys. We get to the Giants and hear some crickets in here. If the Giants don't get Cam or Shador, they need to see about getting a haul for number 4. Look into the later rounds at QB and let Locke be the bridge for another year. Ooh, them ticket sales are going to dwindle. Honestly, what you saying ain't wrong. If I'm the Giants, it might be throwing a pick away. But the Giants may have to take a shot at Milroe or Ewers in their second or third round to give some energy into their program. Because see, unlike teams like the Titans that's looking to try to pick up a Daniel Jones or something, the Giants can't bring Daniel Jones back. This ain't Dallas. He don't come back. Giants in a tough spot. All right, we're going to go on to the AFC. We're going to start with the West because the West is like pretty solidified slightly. Patrick Mahomes, Carson Wentz, Justin Herbert out there on the Chargers, Bo Nix and Denver, and then the Raiders. Raiders sitting about 6 spots back in the draft order behind the Titans, Browns, Giants, Jets. They're the furthest out to get a QB. What do the Raiders do? They traded Derek Carr. They let Jarrett Stidham go. They got drafted Aiden O'Connell, and they brought in Gardner Minshew as a bridge. What do the Raiders do? What do the Raiders do? Because Raiders is the furthest away from being able to draft a QB.
Let me teach you how to vibe.
Mercy. Carlisle, what up? Same applies from the Giants to the Raiders because they so far back. Ah, that's tough. Now, I think it depends on their coach. I think it depends on, because they fired their GM. It depends on who they get as a coach. I think the Raiders is going to be in that situation where there'll be one of the teams that's trying to trade for McCarthy, Joe Milton, Hendon Hooker. I think they're going to be left with trying to take the best available player and trying to trade for somebody's second-year player that's on a second chance, that's just not getting the opportunity to play. Because they kind of in that tweener range where, I mean, you could be the Raiders. Cam, Shadur, Travis, Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, T-Mac, all could be off the board by the time you pick. So, the 5 or 6 players that people seem to really want, Tyler Warren would be there, but you just took Brock Bowers. Like, you got your tight end. They be in a tough spot. Andrew was good. It depends on the GM and the head coach. Seeing them teams want to sell the farm to get Shadur. If Tom Brady's involved, the Raiders could be the team willing to sell the farm to the Titans. But if I'm the Titans, I'm not dropping back to 6 or 7. I'm just not. All right, so we go AFC. We go AFC North. Lamar, Burrow. Steelers have Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. I think a lot of what they do depends on this playoff run. I think it's a similar situation. Clearly, if Russell Wilson beats the Ravens, he ain't going nowhere. Depending on how the game goes, their situation could change, but they're not in a bad situation. Because whatever they have their money free to make their own decision, and they get first shot at it. They already said, basically, Brady is at the head of finding an ex-QB, and he's a huge Shador fan. Brady time.
Let me teach you how to vibe.
Browns, obviously, will be able to take Ward or Shador. I think the Browns have their eyes on Cam Ward, personally, because they could take Cam Ward and then take Myles Garrett and trade him and get right back up value back from Myles Garrett. And Nick Chubb comes off the books too, so I think that would free up a lot of that money. Then you just waiting a year for Deshaun before you can push the button to just explode that project. So that's the North. That would suck. If we lost Callie and lost Denard, we might lose some players too. Okay, so AFC South, Texans are fine. Jaguars is kind of intriguing. You just gave Trevor Lawrence 276. They kind of married to him for the next couple of years, and then Mac Jones is there. They really just have to live. Whoever the new guy that comes in to coach the Jaguars really just got to live with Trevor Lawrence. What's good, Trevor? We got the 16 pick and more waiting for Cleveland for Mr. Garrett to be in Cardinals. But Becker, he wants to be on the contender. Cardinals ain't a contender. They're a pretender right now. So that's us. See, you got Colts. See, Impulse left, but I was trying to get around to his Colts. Dude, what do they do? Anthony Richardson, is he a bridge? Is Anthony Richardson going to continue to develop? Like what do the Colts do? And the Colts are like not good enough for the playoffs and not bad enough to get a high pick. Becker say unsubscribe. I'm being honest though. Like the Cardinals are not a contender. They're a young up and coming building team. Right? Kanda Andrew Lexus, what up? I saw a rumor the Giants are trading for Kyler Murray. Somewhere in the NFC might be looking for Kyler Murray. If the Giants did trade for Kyler Murray, that would be interesting. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. But then what would that leave Arizona as far as QB, Nano? All right, so of course the Titans, y'all know what I think. Go get the best bridge. I think you, depending on how these games playing out this weekend, I think you go after Daniel Jones, leave Will Levis there, and you draft Shador. That's what I do. He said, he like how I deciphered that. Yeah, I mean, the way I deciphered it was that would be good for the Giants if they traded for Kyler Murray. That would give them a talented QB, a fresh start. But then where does that leave the Cardinals with Marvin Harrison Jr. sitting out there that you just traded for? They already tried Desmond Ridder over there. That didn't work. It's nothing that's on the Cardinals it's on the Giants that the Cardinals would want back and trade. Looking at somebody specific, yeah. I mean, but this is the tough part about it. If the Cardinals traded with the Giants, let's say the Giants gave up the number 3 pick to the Cardinals, and the Cardinals gave up Kyler Murray to the Giants, then the Cardinals would be sitting at 3. They wouldn't be able to take Ward or Shador. If they took any other quarterback besides those two that high, that'd be beyond a reach. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not crazy about that. You talking about the little person. Oh, I already knew. I know going into this season, this playoffs a bust. We went 4-13 to 8-9, have young pieces. Biggest need is elite edge rushers. The whole need a front seven, secondary prove they can play well. Just need a front seven to get home without having to run some many exotic blitzes. Yeah. So let's go AFC East. AFC East, Bills, Trubisky and Josh Allen. The Dolphins are in an interesting spot. Tyreek Hill wants out. You gave Tua all that money. That's interesting. If I'm the Dolphins, I tell Tyreek Hill, you know what? If somebody's willing to give me high trade value for Tyreek Hill, I'd trade him. And I'd go out and get a nasty running back in this draft. I'd get Ollie Gordon or somebody like that to go with Devin Akane. They got tight ends. They got other receivers. And then let's say the Dolphins traded out like that and then jumped up in there and drafted T-Mac. Or, I'd be going that route. Because the Dolphins got to get more physical in their offense. Their finesse offense only lasts for so long, especially with a quarterback that take way too many hits. Jets, I think Aaron Rodgers needs to go. I think Aaron Rodgers needs to go. And if I'm the Jets got a defense. I was saying they should have tried to get Mike Vrabel before before other openings came open. Now, of course, Mike Vrabel would take New England over the Jets. So the Jets got a good defense. They got running backs. They got Garrett Wilson. They got Devontae Adams. They got Lazard. They got players. I think if I'm a team, this sounds bad, but when you a team like the Jets, or you a team that got a lot of bait of people that I could get rid of, like trade some of them guys off and build around Garrett Wilson in that running game. I mean, look at Brock Bowers. Go get the tight end from Penn. The Jets could get T-Mac or the tight end from Penn State, Tyler Warren, and just go with a more physical style offense and find out who their QB is. Because Aaron Rodgers is kind of holding their franchise hostage.
Let me teach you how to
and that's the
vibe.
fear. Like, that's why I don't want a guy like that in Nashville or nowhere. Like, he gonna hold their franchise hostage. I said before he got picked up that they should try to shoot for Daniel Jones, but we want him. So I say if you the Jets is gonna be the team that might have to get Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins. See, Derek Carr to the Jets wouldn't be bad. And I don't even like Derek Carr, but you know, if the Saints do move on from him, if Aaron Rodgers left,
Let me teach you how to vibe.
I'd bring in a Carr as a bridge because you need a little bit longer bridge, and then I draft my guy.
Let me teach you how to vibe.
When the Steelers got close to Patrick Mahomes' whistle and said Chiefs win, Steelers lose for invasion. Man, you just talking now, Trevor. If you boy, don't get to talking about Patrick Mahomes in this chat. Derek was good.
Yo, it was
What's
good.
going on?
Not much. That tournament was whack.
We talking quarterbacks. You hopping in to talk quarterbacks, or we talking Madden?
Quarterbacks.
Yeah, because I do segments like
what's your best one in the draft?
I'm gonna just roll this. I have the least interest to talk about Madden in January.
All right, we can talk about quarterbacks.
Are you in the chat now? You been keeping up what we got going on?
No,
probably not. All right,
no.
let me do this. Let me mute you for a second because you gonna throw us off because we've been going around the league, and then we'll pull you back in when we done with this segment.
All right, cool.
Yeah, we not gonna get off track when we doing these segments. If you're not paying attention and not keeping up with the conversation, you get in here to talk about Madden. I don't want to talk about Madden. All right, so we on the last teams of the NFC East. We've done, let's see, the Bills, Jets, Dolphins, and now, I mean, the Patriots, I just think they're about to hire I think they're about to hire Mike Vrabel. I think Drake May is the guy. I think he's talented. And you got Joe Milton sitting there. Now, the question is, do you trade Joe Milton to get bait because his stock is up? Don't think it'll work out for. Yeah, I don't think Arizona will be able to get back what they needed. All right, anybody guys got anything they want to hop in and add about this conversation about the quarterbacks around the league, who should do what? I think it's some teams that are in bad situations that really could make the best use of what they got. I think, like, even though they seem to be in bad situations, like the Saints, like the Browns, like these teams could really like flip flop. Because look at how many teams in the last few years, like we thought the Broncos would be done for a few years. They paid Russell Wilson to leave and then drafted Bo Nix, and they're in the playoffs. You look at the Commanders, obviously drafted Sam Howell, sent him packing, went back and drafted Jaden Daniels. They're in the playoffs. It's a quick flip. You said bro never responds to his chat. I just answered your question. You said something about the Chiefs and the whistle. Like they got beat by 30 points without Chris Jones. Like, why are we talking about the Steelers and Chiefs game from Christmas? why are we talking about that? Like, what is the Steelers getting their head kicked in on Christmas Day have anything to do with this conversation? You talking about referees? Like, bro, that's just some fan shit. Nobody's doing fan shit in. We having grown man conversation. If you want to talk about referees and why the Pittsburgh Steelers can't beat the 2-time NFL champion on Christmas Day without Chris Jones, like, my bad.
Let
bro.
me teach you how to vibe.
I'm reading 3 chats too. Legendary strat items. Imagine saying the one person that interacts the best don't interact with the chat. I literally answered your question in 2 seconds. If your brain ain't smart enough to process what I said, it's not my fault. Tyler Sage, what up? But it's some teams that can flip back though.